All right, we're here in our local Tesla store, David Havasi, Zach Shahan, Clean Technica, and we had a chance to come here off hours. Thank you to Tesla for this opportunity to walk around the Cybertruck and give David's kind of take on it. He worked at Tesla from 2012 to 2019. Mm-hmm. He opened sort of the region for Tesla here.
Yes,
and he's got this in-depth background on design, on history of Tesla, and he's obsessed with the Cybertruck. Has watched everything on the Cybertruck. So we're gonna get his kind of unique take, trying to give more perspective on this very unique vehicle. I was criticized once for saying very unique because you can't be very unique. You're unique or you're not. But anyway, let's not get semantic.
It's particularly unique.
Yes. David, what are your first key takeaways of this truck that you feel like hasn't perhaps been communicated or described?
Because we don't want to be derivative. There's a lot of Cybertruck videos out there, but at the same time, people can't get enough. We can't get enough. We want to give that to you. First of all, it's very nostalgic for me to be back in this specific store. I helped open this store in the fall of 2014. Before that, this was a big muddy field. And then in a couple months, there's going to be a flagship store just on the corner of I-75 and University. So it's this kind of manifest destiny that is very exciting. So me, I'm a sentimental sap. I get very caught up in these things. So it's very, very cool to be back and then to preview another sweet Tesla, another new Tesla. I mean, you've been here for every new Tesla. Yes.
So what are kind of the elements of the Cybertruck that you think even go back to the Model S, maybe the Roadster? The Roadster's not really. The Model S, that was the first design from the ground up Tesla.
Yeah, well, that was the thing with the Model S. Franz von Holhausen, the chief designer of Tesla, that was his kind of maiden project with the company. And what he basically did was start from the ground up with the electric sedan. So he took all the rules, he threw them out the window, said, okay, if you could have the battery pack be the floor of the car and the motors between the wheels, everything else above that is opportunity space. So all the rules that automobile companies had to follow for the last century need not apply. You don't have to follow that anatomy, you don't have to follow that architecture, and then you can optimize the body and chassis for performance, safety, storage, all the things that people love to show that an electric car not only is as good as a gasoline-powered car, but it is in fact superior in all these metrics that you use to measure what make a good car. Safety, storage, performance, handling, acceleration, all these things. So we see the DNA of Model S taking the clean slate approach and for the electric luxury sedan and applying it to the pickup truck. Now, starting with the front, which I think is the coolest thing.
So they basically kept the skateboard.
Yeah,
and then they put a Minecraft block on top, right?
That's exactly right. And they asked the child to draw a house. But the obviously the appearance is striking, and we'll definitely be getting into that.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would just say, I mean, it's the same on video or on pictures, but when you get to it in real life, you're like, is it still going to look like it came out of a video game?
Yes.
And it still does, and it still has this magical magnetic draw of like, you get to play it with this. Like, it's not a car, it's a toy. It's like, I mean, I don't know, it's really special.
And that is kind of its X factor, because there's a lot of amazing offerings on the market in this space now. There's the Rivian R1T, there is the F-150 Lightning, to a lesser extent the Hummer EV, because that's more of a niche product as far as volume. But if you're going to look at direct, if you're looking at an electric truck, all of them are powerful. All of them have good range. All of them have storage. All of them have these luxury amenities. All of them are great off-road. So the differentiating factor with Cybertruck, hands down, is the design factor. There's absolutely nothing that that looks like this. Not even close in any category of car. So there's a lot of, particularly I love this angle because this is the angle when somebody looks in the rearview mirror and the Cybertruck pulls up. Like this is what they're seeing, and they're like, what? You know, what the heck is that thing? So there is a couple things. We see this a lot, that the LED running the length front car. We see that a lot in design.
That's how I spot a Ford F-150 Lightning option, is the, kind of the lighting.
And rightly so, the Rivian R1T has this kind of signature light bar, and then it has, of course, the double kind of what some call the stadium lighting. I call it the spectacle glasses right there, the snouts that give it that. And you see it a mile away. My daughter was like, Rivian! She could spot it like a mile away, like a hawk. And that would be the same for this. In fact, you can have the lights off and people will spot it, which is really my second point, is the stainless steel finish. And I think the cameras pick this up pretty well, is this sheen that comes off the stainless steel. It's just it's so unique, and it is something you have to see in person. We're going to try to capture it as well as we can on film, but it is something, I know a lot of people are going to wrap their Cybertrucks and stuff, because I think that's another point. It's kind of this blank slate for art. It's kind of like a building in Brooklyn where like you're just asking it to the artists to create on it. It's like a blank palette. And I just might, so along the line, but
David's deciding what to do, whether to wrap it with something or wrap it clear and just have it show its full glory.
Correct.
Full stainless steel glory. So it's an interesting. I'm very curious to see how many end up wrapped, because there is.
I think
you said there's already a lot getting wrapped in a nearby. Detailing place.
Yeah, we're already seeing on social media here in the Florida area that. Cybertrucks are being delivered, and they're going straight to the detailer and getting a wrap, which is kind of cool, because it is only one color. So if you want to kind of break away from the rest of the Cybertruck group, you can get a wrap. I kind of like the purity of the exposed stainless steel, at least for now. And that's the great thing about wrapping. You could do it at any time. So a year from now, 2 years from now, you could change the wrap.
Well, the funny thing with the visuals, so when the Model S came out in 2012, and even up through 2015, 16, 17, Tesla followers, we were like, you know, you could spot them far away. You're like, wow, that looks so different. That looks so special.
Yeah.
A lot of normal people didn't have it, like, couldn't tell it different. It's just another car.
Yeah.
It's another car with an interesting design, but if you didn't know it, it stood out to some people. Some people were grabbing. I was in the Model 3 reservation line, like at 6 a.m. The lady in front of me, she had just seen a Tesla on the road and was like, wow, that's a really pretty car. I want that. So she went home and Googled T car, because she didn't know what it was. She saw the T.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she found out the price of the Model S. She was like, oh, okay. And then she found out months later that there was a cheaper one coming, and she put in a reservation she went and got in line for a reservation for a Model 3. But most people, it looks more normal. This car, I mean, there's no way you don't notice the Cybertruck.
Correct.
And what do you think that does? What do you think that will, I don't know, what do you think about that? I mean, we all know it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious your take on how you think that will affect the public on Tesla and on this vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I've always said, each Tesla is a rolling billboard. So when people see it, they can. That's why I love the new design language with the non-Cybertruck Teslas. Is they're starting to put Tesla on the trunk. So if you're behind the car, you're like, let me read that word. So you don't even have to do T car, you know, and then be Sherlock Holmes and trying to figure out what kind of car it is. It says Tesla, and then you Google it and you find out how amazing the cars are. The great thing about Cybertruck is because it's so out there, you can literally Google wacky looking truck, crazy truck, wild truck, silly truck, whatever, and Cybertruck will come up. So it's this massive marketing tool for the company on that level.
Yeah, Sandy Monroe pointed out that you don't actually find a Tesla logo or Tesla almost anywhere on here.
Yes, I love that.
And I was like, well, that's strange, that's interesting, but exactly you said, it doesn't matter. You Google block truck.
It does not need that, because in any other Google search, if you see a Lambo or a McLaren or you know, or even a cool SUV. If you put in cool SUV, or you put in like awesome sports car, there's dozens and dozens and dozens, you know, maybe you never find what you're looking for. If you put in like crazy looking truck, I haven't done it, but I'm not a betting man, but if I was, we'll test this later. Cybertruck is going to be one of the top searches for sure, and you'll be like, that's unmistakably what I saw. You know, and then you search it, and then you're brought into the ecosystem of Tesla, and you're like, wow, even if you have no idea what Tesla is, which is surprising, people still don't, then you see it. Now, obviously, where we live, Teslas are ubiquitous. Even last night, I was going to the grocery store. There were 6 Teslas at the intersection. You know, I went to a healthy fast food place, pulled in. There were 5 Teslas in the parking lot out of like 20 cars. So, you know, 25%.
It's funny because, I mean, you can't be in an intersection and not see at least a few.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot of people who don't realize that they're electric cars who are sort of infiltrating the market.
Yeah,
they just look like other, like normal, and there's a ton of people who can't identify the difference between them. Like all Teslas look the same to a lot of people.
Yeah, people say I haven't seen. My brother was visiting from Alaska, and he's like, I haven't seen the Model Y yet, and we had just passed one. And they're going the other way. And I was like, that was a Model Y. And he goes, oh, it wasn't a Model 3? Yeah. Like, oh, no, a Model Y is you know, I would say if the Model 3 was a blowfish, the Model Y is if it's puffed up. You know, it's like basically a Model 3, but it's a little higher.
There's a lot of people who see, they don't recognize that they're all over.
Correct.
And when this starts being more what you see, it's going to really make an imprint. I mean, we talk about the steel, the angles. The windshield wiper is so cartoonish. It's amazing. It's like, it is so large.
Yeah,
like, I know there's videos on it, but like in person, you're like, what is that? And then when it's going to be working, and you're like, you're next to it or in front of it, and you see this windshield wiper in the truck, I think you've got to be like, what is that? And like, I don't know. It's not going to appeal to everybody. We know that. It's not going to be appealing to everybody.
Yes.
But it's going to attract attention. And a lot of those people it will appeal to, and they might not have ever noticed or thought about it.
Correct. Well, and that's the paradox with the truck. Do you want to move around?
Yeah,
do you want to move to the so there's a paradox with the truck where you can see it from certain angles and think it's the silliest, stupidest thing you've ever seen. And then you can see it at other angles and say like, oh my gosh, this is the awesomest thing I've ever seen. And paradoxically, it could be the same angle at the same time.
Well,
and so your brain is going, why do I have these emotions? You know?
I was gonna say, I feel like that all the time with it. I feel like it's the silliest thing I've seen, and it's the most awesome thing. And it's like vehicle. And I'm like, it looks like out of a video game, looks cartoonish, and I love it, and I want it. And I don't know how much of that is because it looks like that, because because it looks like cartoonish, or just the design is itself very cool, like separate from the fact that it looks like it came out of a video game.
Correct.
But I don't know which.
In that way, Tesla has, in a lot of ways, Tesla has left the door open to other manufacturers. So Rivian R1T, Ford F-150 Lightning, the Silverado EV coming out from GM. I mean, that thing has over 400 miles of range and has crazy functionality and the cool front, power front, and all these cool things. Really the ace in the hole for Cybertruck, one of the ace in the hole, because they're again, drive-by-wires, another thing too. But right off the bat is the appearance, because the car you drive is the clothes you wear. It says something about you when you're out and about on the street. And like it or not, that's what it is. And people either know that, or at a subconscious level, they're making that decision because of that, whether they don't or not.
That is what concerns me with it, because I'm afraid that a lot of people will be drawn to it, but then they don't want to be the one at the public's parking lot who everyone's looking at and pointing at. And it's like, oh, you're driving that? It's like, you might love it, but it might be like a secret, like, oh, I wish I could get that, but it's too unique.
Correct. and this is not a car for the subtle.
But but I want to get to the tech a little bit too, because I think the visuals is the biggest thing. And some people say it's the drive-by-wire, it's
there's so much. I think
it's the visuals, but the drive-by-wire is also very critical in a way that I don't think people recognize, because I never wanted a big vehicle. I hate driving big vehicles. Part of it is getting in and out of tight spaces, parking lots, parking spaces. The drive-by-wire, like we go along the truck, the thing that stood out to me when we first came to visit the truck was that it was a little shorter than I expected, but apparently that's because the suspension is really lowered on it. But also that it's much longer than I was expecting. It looks, I know it's a little longer than a Ford F-150 Lightning, but it looks way longer to me than a Ford F-150 Lightning. And the thing is, you might immediately think, I can't take that vehicle, I won't be able to drive it, and I won't be able to park it. But with a drive-by-wire, you can, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's going to be much easier than you think, right?
Yeah. First of all, in America, I mean, it's America, so the lanes, the parking spots, they're all designed for big cars, because Americans just love big cars. The drive-by-wire and the four-wheel steering make it much more maneuverable. Now, there is a good point when you're pulling out of a tight parking space, and this is going to have to either be a learning curve for a lot of drivers, or Tesla will maybe add a software update that will sense that you're between two cars. Because if you're pulling out of a spot and you go full lock, which is just this much on the drive-by-wire, and then engage the rear tires, when that happens, the back end kicks out laterally. So when you just have your front wheels turning, the back tires go straight into whatever direction. When you have four-wheel steering, the rear tires turn opposite. So instead of it falling out, it actually swings out. So if you're coming out of a tight parking space, you don't want to smack that car next to you, particularly if you're in full lock. So if I had to guess, I'm thinking eventually, and if not, this would be a good idea. Maybe I'll make some phone calls to Tesla, my friends that I know that already know. It should sense, oh yeah, there's a thing right there. Probably don't want to turn the back of your Cybertruck into it, so we're going to reduce rear steering activation till you clear that. Then we can slowly ratchet it up in a way that's very intuitive.
But otherwise, to start, people are going to have to relearn a little bit how they do that, and they're going to have to be extra careful and thoughtful about, oh, this is not a normal.
Correct.
Not a vehicle like I've driven before.
And there's been a calibration there's always a calibration with Tesla. First, it was the one pedal driving. Like when we first started doing test drives, with the Roadster, the Roadster, and then with Model S, and if you've driven particularly a Tesla, you know all about one pedal driving. But for a lot of gasoline people that drive gasoline cars, they have the accelerator and they lift off the coast. With electric car, when you lift off the accelerator, it slows down, and we all know that with regenerative braking with the car. It takes a couple miles to calibrate that, and we've seen that. And then there was,
roll down. There are cameras, so.
Yeah, so you see here is the kind of the rear quarter panel camera. You have the B pillar, shoots out about 45 degrees that way. And then of course we have the cameras in front, cameras in rear. That's another thing that people are going to have to calibrate to this car is when the tonneau cover is up, the rearview mirror obviously doesn't work because you can't see out their rear window, and by all accounts, the rear window is kind of, doesn't have the best sight line anyway. So the rear camera is actually put up in a little letterbox on the touchscreen. I think it's going to be a little wacky for people at first, just like anything. I think you adapt to it. I use my full self-drive visualization now as kind of my blind spot. When I turn on the signal, I just kind of in the corner of my eye, I could see kind of the vector space, and I could see what are the cars in the other lanes, and are there cars coming up on me, things like that. But that does take calibration. Same with turn signals being on the steering wheel. That's going to be moving forward. This is what Tesla's doing. We're seeing that show up in the car. We see it here. Same with shifting on the screen. Those are things we're going to see in the calibrate. Just like all Teslas, you know it. You do it for a day, and then it's like the brain is an adaptation machine. It's like, oh, I get this now. But at first it's like, whoa, this is so wacky. Just like, oh yeah, you want to show you go around the back and then Yeah.
So anything to wrap up on the design of this compared to, I mean, the design history of this with Tesla as well? I mean, it's really a different thing. But
I mean, yeah, the design history to take away is as far as Tesla lineage that shows up in this vehicle as compared to other vehicles, particularly Model S, because I think the Model S is the really direct design lineage where Tesla took a blank slate that the industry has never seen, and they said, well, how do we make a product that is never existed before and optimize it in a way that never was possible to optimize before because the limitations of the anatomy of the product.
when you get yours, we will obviously do
Oh yeah, we will.
a thorough,
Yeah.
continual stream of content on the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
And Dan behind the camera as well, so we can do some dual Cybertruck videos once we have two here. But
Yeah.
I still have a reservation, but it's still very big for my taste. I like it. I like my small,
Sure.
like my Tesla Model 3.
I'll be honest with you, as we wrap it up, I'm doing it for the novelty, because I am a stickerhead. I like the attention. I want people to come up to me and say,
You worked on
"I-
Broadway."
I love it. Yeah, you know, I like kid hugs. I like to provoke that attention. I don't know what that says about me, but I do. So I have a lot of skin in the game. I've been asked to put my $1,000 final deposit down, which I have done. I put the extra $500 down for the range extender pack, which is a $16,000 extra. Because I'm not going to use the bed. You know, I'm not a cowboy. I'm not a construction worker. You know, I don't need to load, plywood into the bed. So I'm going to use that to maximize range. I'm going to use it as a road tripper. So anyway, yeah, I got skin in the game. I want to see this thing go.
That's it. That's our walk around, and we'll do more as we can. So thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Dan.
Hi, my name is Scott Cooney. I started Clean Technica to promote clean energy and other sustainable alternatives, and for 13 years we've been moving markets. If we had a nickel for every time someone told us they bought their first EV, solar, e-bike, or fill in the blank clean energy solution, we'd be a cable TV channel by now. But we don't get those nickels. So unfortunately, we could use your help to reach a few more people. If just 1% of our audience chipped in a few bucks a month, we could hire dozens of great journalists and promote all sorts of climate solutions. It's easy. Just go to cleantechnica.com/support and sign up with a credit card in seconds. Cancel anytime. But we'll be sending out some cool perks too, so I think you'll want to stick around. With your support, we'll keep leading the charge. Thank you so much.